Welcome back. Well, that's starting with today on Sunrise Daily, and we're starting from Abuja. Markwe?
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. We have with us Mr. Jibrin Okutepa, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria. Well, you did hear there Mr. Wale Olanekpekun, CJN as well, his opinion. Is that where you stand as well on the confirmation or the non-confirmation of the current Chief Justice of Nigeria?
Well, good morning. Let me say this. I stand on the part of the Constitution. I stand with the Nigerian Bar Association, and to a greater extent, I also agree with Chief Wale Olanekpekun, his views. For instance, there is nothing called probation under the Constitution for the office of the Chief Justice of Nigeria. But the issue is deep, much more deeper than we are looking at it. Can the president keep to his chest the recommendation of the National Judicial Council? My answer is no. Now, under our Constitution, there are 3 or 4 ways a Chief Justice of Nigeria can emerge. First, the Federal Judicial Service Commission advises the National Judicial Council of the suitability or otherwise of person to the office of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice of Supreme Court, President of the Court of Appeal, Justice of the Court of Appeal, and so on and so forth. You can see that under the text schedule to the Constitution. Now, after the Federal Judicial Service Commission would have done their job, advises the National Judicial Council, then the National Judicial Council will recommend to the president persons who are qualified to be appointed the Chief Justice of Nigeria. And I understand that before the last Chief Justice of Nigeria retired, there was a recommendation that the current acting Chief Justice of Nigeria be appointed substantive Chief Justice of Nigeria. Now, that recommendation was made. It is with the president. Now, the president is the appointing authority, but his appointment is subject to confirmation by the Senate, which means that the president has a constitutional duty to make appointment, but before doing so, he must submit the name of the person sent to him by the National Judicial Council to the Senate. Now, the quagmire here is in this delay in sending the name. And I think I also agree with Chief Wale Olanekpekun that for the first time in the history of transition in the Supreme Court, it's the first time we're having an acting Chief Justice of Nigeria. Now, up to and including now, I'm not aware that the president has forwarded a name to the Senate. And I had the privilege to be on a courtesy call with the Mr. President of the Bar to the Honorable Attorney General. This issue was raised. And in the paper this morning, I also read that the presidency says they will act within time. Now, the acting Chief Justice of Nigeria's tenure will expire on the 10th of February. Where are we going from here? For me, it is not politically expedient for the president to do what he's doing now. Because Nigeria are more sophisticated now, they ask questions, and a lot of political meanings are being read into this appointment. And for me, that's not good. But constitutionally, I do not think that the president will just keep quiet and not getting back to NJC or to the Senate. He owes that duty to say, look, I'm not appointing this person. This is the reason, this is the reason, this is the reason. He owes that duty, and he owes us a duty, and he owes the entire nation that duty. That duty must be performed. Because we are entitled to know why the person who had gone through a process at the Federal Judicial Service Commission, who had gone through a process at the National Judicial Council, and who had been recommended to the president, is not being appointed. We need to be told.
Is the president duty bound to accept the recommendations of those bodies?
Well, there is a person who has a right to appoint may not be duty bound to appoint. But if he's not duty bound to appoint, he's duty bound to explain why he's not appointing. Because NJC had become, with respect, functus official. He cannot recommend any other person until the president either accept or not accept it. And that is where the president is under constitutional obligation to tell us why I am not doing this appointment is A, B, C, D. And then that reasons Nigeria must be able to verify it.
I think it's important to state here, I think talking about Mr. Wole Olanikepekun's assertion that he read something on Facebook, we did ask the president's spokesperson, Mr. Femi Adesina, who said that no, he never made any statement concerning a probation period for the acting chief judge. But then some people say, some of your colleagues say that the appointment of the CJN is also political in nature. Do you agree with them?
I'm not a politician. The appointment of the Chief Justice of Nigeria is governed by Section 231 of the 1999 Constitution. And under that constitutional provision, the president, maybe I will look at it, read it, for us to appreciate that there is no provision for political consideration. And it will be dangerous for us to begin to read political meaning into the appointment to the office of the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Now, the provision is Section 231, subsection 2. The appointment of a person to the office of the Chief Justice of Nigeria shall be made by the President on the recommendation of the National Judicial Council, subject to confirmation of such appointment by the Senate. Now, Nigeria is not like the United States of America, where judges are members of political party. And I'm not aware of any judicial officer in Nigeria that is a member of any political party. So the president has no political choice to make, to say, Mr. A, Mr. B is not a member of my party, or is not supporting my party? Not in that sense. I mean, you do know that it's not in that sense. We've seen, for instance, in other jurisdictions where you find out that, you know, if the history of the judgment a judge has been given is in line with, say, the manifesto of a particular or the ideology of a particular political party, they want to appoint him. You know, you've seen that, you saw that ruckus, for instance, in the United States. Looking at Nigeria, do we have any such leanings in our climb? Do we have political ideologies in Nigeria? What is the difference between PDP and APC? The only difference I know with respect is that one is in power and one is in the opposition. And majority of APC members today were members of PDP. I think we are importing into our constitutional jurisprudence what is not provided thereby. In the United States, yes, judges have their political leanings, and the appointment is done based on that political leanings. But in Nigeria, if judges are politicians, that must be in the outskirts of their hearts. But there is no political partisanship on the part of any Nigerian judges that I know. Indeed, the oath of office a judicial officer takes is that they will do justice to all manner of persons without fear or favor, affection or ill will. So that oath, therefore, automatically isolates judicial officers from partisan politics.
Well, is that how it has been practiced over the years?
Of course, that's at least within the relatively small knowledge of law that I have. That's how it has been practiced. And that is why you see that judicial officers in Nigeria give judgments even against the government that appoints them. So I think this thing is more of, to me, of a constitutional breach on the part of the executive.
Has it breached any parts of the Constitution already?
Well, I cannot say yes and I cannot say no, because there is a delay and there is a palpable anxiety in the polity. And mark you, Nigeria is now well knowledgeable, both in facts and even law. Those who are not lawyers interpret laws much better now, in quote, than lawyers. Why do I say so? Now there is a federal character principle in our constitution that says appointment to various offices, including judicial officers, shall reflect a federal character. Now, in the beginning I said it's not politically expedient for this presidency or for the president not to do the appointment, because people are now speculating political exclusion, even though the office of the Chief Justice of Nigeria is not a political office. But people believe, and rightly so, that his lordship is not being considered because of the geographical place where he comes from. Whether that is right or not, that is the perception. And when people are allowed to perceive this, it's politically dangerous for political office holder to allow people to be perceiving wrong on his part. And I think that this government has so many wars to contend with. The war of poverty, the war of Boko Haram, the war of the belief of Nigerian people that the suffering that they are facing now is a function of, with respect, ineptitude of government. Whether that is right or not, that is people's perception. And that is why I say in the beginning that it is politically suicidal for the government to continue to delay appointing the person or giving reasons why it's not appointing the person recommended by the National Judicial Council. Now, there is a provision for acting Chief Justice of Nigeria. And my take on this matter is that although it has not been done before, there is no breach on the part of the executive for resorting to Section 231, subsection 4 of the Constitution at the time it did.
Well, I understand that we have to take a moment right now, but we will come back and expatiate more on that 231 subsection 4, where you say that there is no reason for the executive to resort to that just about now. Well, we'll take a moment and Sunrise Daily will continue shortly. Do join us again.